Hello and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are watching another chess classic. This one was played in 1966 between Robert Bobby Fischer, who was playing with white, and Svetozar Gligoric, who was playing with black pieces. What is interesting about this game is that Gligoric made one mistake and the game was completely collapsing for him. Unfortunately, Fischer was just too good at this point of his career as well, but nevertheless these two had a really nice games, especially when Fischer was going to reach his peak. In those games when Fischer was already a grandmaster, an established and a strong player, reaching to the chess world and reaching to the chess top, these two had some amazing games and we will definitely watch more of their games. They were kind of equal. Sometimes Gligoric would win, sometimes Bobby would win, and sometimes, or most times actually, the games would end in a draw. So these two had a really long history playing together, and one of those games, in these games, of course, Fischer won. And this game is also interesting because if you want to learn Spanish opening, this just shows you one of the motifs you can use in Spanish game as playing with white. So without further ado, we will go straight into the game. Bobby started with e4, Gligoric replied with e5, knight f3, and knight c6 was played for Gligoric. Bobby now plays bishop b5. This is the Ruy Lopez or Spanish game. a6 was played for black, and Fischer immediately decided that he wants to trade his bishop for the pawn structure of the black. So d takes on c6, and right now Bobby Fischer castles. Of course, if you don't know, this pawn looks free, but it's actually not. I will now show you. If you decide to pick it up, then black has this tricky move with queen d4, and right now you are forced to return your knight here, and after that we will pick up this pawn, and after queen e2, queen picks up on e2 and king picks up on e2, and this is something ideal for black because white lost his right to castle. Black has his pieces all around. Black can castle, and this is already a better position for black, so this is something black hopes for. Of course, these grandmasters and world champions know that this is not a good move, and that is the reason why Fischer castled. After this, Gligoric decided to play f6 to strengthen this center here, the central pawn. Although it kind of weakens these light squares, he was counting that because Fischer already traded his light square bishop, that he won't have any trouble with those light squares. So that is the reason right now Fischer immediately strikes in the center, and Gligoric decided to play bishop g4 with the idea to pin this knight. And right now white has to find the right answer in this position. The right move, of course, Fischer finds it, and it is c3, because you don't want to rely on this knight defending this pawn. You want to strengthen it even more with this additional pawn. Game continued with the exchange of pawns, and after c takes on d4, Gligoric decided to play queen d7. For now, his idea is to castle on queenside and then pressure this pawn, and later he will develop these pieces, but he's still really underdeveloped. And right now Fischer continues with h3, asking Gligoric, well, he will go with this bishop, or will he trade this bishop for this knight. Gligoric decided that he will not do that, and he played bishop e6, saving this white squared bishop, because right now you have a bishop pair and you definitely don't want to trade it since white already did that. Knight c3 was played for Bobby Fischer, again a normal developing move, and a game continued with a long castle or castle queenside for Svetozar Gligoric. Game continues with bishop f4, another normal developing move, and right now Gligoric decided that it is time for his pieces to develop, so he plays a knight e7 with the idea to just put this knight on g6 square and pressure this bishop here, because this is as you can see, f6 square is covered, so this is the only way you can develop your knight. And our game continued with rook c1. Already Fischer notices that this king and these pawns will be weak, so he puts the rook on this semi-open file, which later would be crucial, you will see, of course. Game continues with knight g6, which was Gligoric's original idea. Of course, Fischer doesn't want to give this bishop because it is really strong in the future attack on the black king. So our game continued with bishop d6. Gligoric wants to exchange the bishops, and Fischer now plays knight a4. His idea is to put this knight on c5 and then threaten this bishop, and of course putting it on this really strong outpost is really good for white. So white hopes for that to happen as well, and also he will open the space for this rook if needed later in the game. For now this is not possible because white has this bishop pair, and it seems for black that everything is fine. All kind of attacks are for now stopped, and the position is equal by the computer evaluation. Game continued with bishop picking up on g3, f takes on g3, and king b8 was played for Gligoric. Gligoric now wants to remove his king from this c file. Just whenever you have a chance, it's always a good idea to remove yourself from potential pins, and that's the idea behind this move. Fischer now finds a normal move, knight c5, putting the knight on even a better square. Queen d6 was the best move for black. Still white is doing slightly better, but this is a completely playable. And now Fischer plays queen a4, a tricky move right now, aiming at this pawn because this rook is ready to enter when the pawn structure is of course compromised. And at this moment Gligoric makes a fatal blunder. He actually plays king a7, which allows this idea for Bobby Fischer to unravel. Unfortunately, the best move after queen a4 was actually to play bishop c8 to defend this pawn, because Fischer is planning on bringing this rook on c3 and then b3 or a3 and creating a checkmate threat. So that is the reason why bishop c8 was actually the best. But king a7 is a terrible blunder, and Fischer immediately spots this, and he of course uses this with knight picking up on a6. Gligoric now sees that he's in a really tough position, and he tries to create some sort of counterplay with bishop picks up on h3. It's pretty much the last hope. Of course Fischer doesn't want to take this. This didn't happen in the game. I just want to show you what would happen if g picks up on h3. Then queen g3 would be check. After king h1 this queen would go check, and after king g1 queen g3, and after king h1 you can play knight h4 for example, and continue with the perpetual checks. And now the position is dead draw because you have these motifs with perpetual checks, and the white king is compromised. Of course this was the last hope if Fischer accepts this. Of course this wasn't accepted, and after bishop picks up on h3, Fischer calmly plays e5, right now attacking this queen. Knight picking up on e5 is the best. I will now show you what will happen. For example, if you decided to move your queen back, this would be a horrible move, of course, because right now Fischer has an amazing sacrifice with a rook picking up on c6. And if you decide to pick up with b takes on c6, after knight c5 check, discover check from the queen, king is forced to go back, and after queen b4, if you decide to go here, checkmate on b7 is inevitable. The same goes for if you decide to go on a8, checkmate on b7 again is inevitable. So this is the beautiful idea that Fischer had in mind, and that is the reason why knight picking up on e5 was the only move to remain in the position. After this, Fischer picks up this knight, and after f takes on e5, knight c5 was played for Fischer, giving a discover check and attacking this poor king. King b8 is forced. G takes up, picks up on h3, and after e4, knight picks up on e4. Queen e7 was played for Gligoric. Rook c3 was played for Bobby Fischer. After b5 and queen c2 was the last move of the game. Gligoric decided to resign this game because you are 2 knights down and there is nothing you can do. The position is pretty clear. There is no checkmate threats, there is no counterplay, and there is nothing you can do. Really, Fischer is now aiming at this pawn, and this is just unplayable for anyone, and especially not for on the grandmaster level chess. This position is dead lost for black, and this is how this game ended. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a comment, like and share. As you all know, I always read your comments, give me your suggestions for future games and all that goes with it. I really appreciate you watching, and we will see each other in the next video. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.